Welcome to Center Cup. I am Will Neary. I'm here with Nick Newmeyer. We're going to talk through everything that just happened. I don't even know where to start, really. But yeah, I mean, we are through 2 days at the Open Championship. It feels like today itself was like 5 or 6 days, in my opinion. I'm not totally sure what just happened to all of us, but what a roller coaster. There's a lot to get to, and only so many hours in the day. So we're going to get right to it. And I think we know where we got to start, right? We got to start with everything that just happened with Bryson. I don't know, Nick, I'm sure everybody already knows what happened, but why don't you give us the high-level overview, the elevator pitch on what just happened to Bryson DeChambeau?
So I will admit I was in a class while a majority of this was happening, but the basic rundown of this is that Bryson hit his shots on the right side in some very thick grass on the fifth hole. As he was walking to his ball, he apparently stepped on the grass behind his ball. The RNA is saying that he did that in an attempt to pat the grass down so that he would have less resistance in his backswing. And if you look at the video, that is the case. He does have a much cleaner swing path after doing so. They handed him a 2-stroke penalty, bringing him from 7 under par and 1 back to 5 under par and 3 back. And that is nowhere near the conclusion of the events. Otherwise, he then went to he drove out with the RNA back to the fifth hole after his round to reenact he was reenacting the shot and just talking through the penalty. It extended, the credit to USA, NBC, whoever was broadcasting, for staying I think it went past 30 minutes of the broadcast window, and they credits them for actually staying on the action. And so Bryson was very clearly angry. He was waving his arms, he was clearly just confused and angry. And there's a video that came out of him, and you don't need to be a professional lip reader to read that. What he said was, "I might not play tomorrow." And then as he got back to the range, Brody Miller, the Athletic, asked him if he would be playing tomorrow, and he just turned and smiled. His agent said that he is very angry and very upset, and that Bryson is a lot of things but not a cheater, and would not comment on whether or not he would be playing. And then Bryson did what he does best. He went to the range and just hit balls into the very end of the night. As he got there, he reportedly asked the 15 or so media members that were standing there how their night's going. When they asked him how his night was going, he said, "I'm doing great. I'm going to hit some balls now. I've never been better." And then as he was hitting, he turned around and asked them to, "How's my swing look, guys? What do you guys think? You guys want some snacks? I got almonds. I got beef sticks." And then as of about 5 minutes ago, right now, he reportedly left the range. They called out to him asking if he was going to play tomorrow. He did not respond. And that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, I think a couple things. One important clarification is that the RNA did, they made sure to mention that they considered inadvertent. It doesn't matter if you intentionally trample, unintentionally trample, whatever. Anything that improves your swing, whether intentional or not, is enough to get the 2-stroke penalty. They called Bryson's actions inadvertent. Obviously, it doesn't matter if they were inadvertent or not in terms of the 2-stroke penalty. But yeah, I mean, he marched back out there. I guess he was trying to show them. It seemed like his argument, this all happened on the fifth hole. It's the drivable par 4. He blasts a tee shot just way right over the penalty. It ends up in this fescue hay. It's a miracle they even stumbled into the ball. I don't really know how they found it. But he, does the thing that you do when you have a golf shot. You kind of walk around behind the ball, assess your line, kind of be like, okay, this is my line. I'm going to hit this. But he definitely steps on a lot of grass, and the grass stays down. So inadvertent, advertent, whatever. I do agree that it seemed like if that grass was standing straight up, he probably hits it on the backswing. I think, and that's enough, frankly, because all that the rule says essentially is that you must, this is not a direct quote, but this is the paraphrasing it. You must basically establish your stance while disrupting the surrounding area and your potential swing as little as possible, which it's clear that Bryson did not do that as little as possible, right? Like we've seen players take big laps to get around to the back of the wall, whatever it is. But yeah, I guess his argument was they were trying to argue that it wouldn't have impeded his backswing. That's not where his swing path was anyway. At the end of the day, he gets the 2-stroke penalty. There's no shot. If he doesn't play tomorrow, that is like we're stooping to new levels of immaturity. Honestly, like I totally understand him being super pissed at this. Also, it's one of those things that he played a great round of golf. Like, we've had all these conversations about Bryson DeChambeau at Open Championships, about, we had Nick Faldo earlier this very week, just being he doesn't have the strategy for links golf, stuff like that. Obviously, Bryson proving that wrong a little bit here. But he shoots a 4 under par round. He's in a solo second in the final pairing going into Saturday morning, and then gets to the scoring tent and then gets informed that 13 holes ago he might have inadvertently improved the lie surrounding his golf ball that effectively gave him a better backswing. So I get being really pissed about it, but to then throw a tantrum to the point where you're saying I'm not going to play tomorrow, you got to play tomorrow. I mean, like, and he's, by the way, he's 3 shots back, and we'll get to Lucas Herbert. I don't really think Lucas Herbert's going to hold on for the win here or run away with this thing. Like, he's effectively like 1 shot back of Cameron Young, who I'm kind of considering the real leader at this point. In there with Jackson Super.
I get it, but like, are we really doing this? Like, this is like, I understand. And, I was listening to No Laying Up last night too, and they were talking about how all of, legacy golf media, I'll call them, I guess, was just pissed that Bryson was not, didn't speak to the media after his round yesterday. And it's like, okay, I didn't think what Faldo said was out of line. Like, I don't think it was an attack on Bryson. It was fair criticisms, but like, golf media has, I'm not saying there's an agenda against Bryson, but golf media has, myself included too. Like, we've criticized him on this show. I'm not walking back any of the things I've said. I'm certainly not apologizing for any of it, but I'm certainly not going to blame Bryson for having some sort of resentment towards the media and not wanting to speak to them yesterday. And to go from that to, again, I'm not trying to say there's a conspiracy or anything like that. I'm fully past. This is the year 2026. We're not getting into, is there an agenda against live players? Would Rory McIlroy have been called on this?
I think it's tough. I mean, I don't necessarily think it's. One thing I'll say for sure is that this doesn't get called every time. The problem is I just don't know if it's because they don't notice it every time. It's one of those things where you rewatch the footage and he's, deliberately, he's not doing it deliberately in my opinion, but he is like, he's stomping around out there. So there's varying like levels of, there's that video of Wyndham Clark at the US Open kind of taking a swing and some stuff. And potentially there was whatever, that was all conjecture anyway, but I'm hesitant to say that it's person to person, that they wouldn't have called it if Rory McIlroy did the same thing. I don't know. But it is one of those things. It's honestly very similar to what we saw with Joaquin Niemann at the U.S. Open, throwing that club and getting a penalty. And then today we see John Rahm spike a club on the 15th, I think it was. And they're basically like, no, actually, this time it's a warning and we're going to reassess and it will follow him. But if he does something again, then it'll be reassessed again and it might not be a penalty even then. It's like, well, he just spiked his club on the tee box.
Right. Like we saw. Yeah, like we can move on to Rahm with this. Like he spiked the club, and we even saw at the the U.S. Open too, or was it? When was the last? Oh no, it was the Genesis when he was like kicking his driver like across the tee box, and it's like, is that a penalty? Is that course conduct? Is that what are we doing? Like, is there, and I forget who, I've been searching for this quote because someone was asked about it like right before the tournament. Like, are you guys aware of the threshold for what the conduct is? And they're like, we have absolutely no idea. There is no threshold. There is no, so like, obviously Niemann got penalized for throwing his club 50 yards. So is 50 the threshold for how far you have to throw it in order to get a penalty? Is it 40? Is it 30? Is it, there is no threshold for this. And I absolutely agree with holding these guys accountable for their on the course behavior, but they tried to make a statement by penalizing Neiman, and they opened a can of worms that they weren't ready to open, and they have zero control of the situation now.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's tough to police, like, right? Like, and you kind of set a weird precedent when you penalize, like, the second one guy gets penalized and the other doesn't, then we're all arbitrarily looking for what the difference was and where the line is and how we can assess and predict. Like, the next time a guy throws a club, how we can be like, oh my God, that's going to be a 2-stroke penalty. Yeah, I mean, the interesting part is both Rahm and Bryson turn in pretty good rounds. Like, they're both in great position after these things. I mean, and we'll see. It seems like nothing's going to come of this Rahm throwing his club thing. I don't think any 2-stroke penalty is coming, any stroke penalty, whatever they do. I think he was issued a warning, so I guess in theory, there's a higher likelihood that if something like this occurs again during this championship, he'll get penalized. I don't know what that means. I'm not an expert, but I mean, it's worth just
the RNA knows either.
Yeah, well, that's part of the issue, right? Is it's like you said, it's just okay. Well, how angrily did he throw his club? Like, like how mad did he look when he did it? Is that going to be our threshold? I do want to highlight, and are we done talking about Bryson DeChambeau? I mean, we can take a look at this. You can see here. This is, if you're watching, at least they have changed this now. You can see where his drive went 257 yards into this weird hay over here, the native area, they call it, 72 yards to the pin. Initially, he cards a bogey. He doesn't like get up and down for birdie, get up and down in 2 to make par, anything like that. He goes over the green, chips back out, misses a putt, ends up with a bogey, which now becomes a triple bogey after that penalty that you can see there. Other than that, a blemish-free 4 or 5 birdie round of it would have been 66. It ends up being 68. Really good. He's sitting T5. Rahm, who we just talked about, is a couple shots back of him. Actually, 1 shot back of him, which goes to show you how crowded this leaderboard is. There's 16 guys that are within 4 shots of the lead, and really, in my opinion, within 2 shots of the lead, because we had Lucas Herbert fire what should have been the first 61 in Open Championship history, or Major Championship history, I should say. Ends up being, I believe, the 6th 62 in Major Championship history. But if there ever was a disappointing 62, it was this one. I mean, you go out in 28.
With a bogey?
You go, yeah, with a bogey, 2 par 5 pars down the stretch. You go out in 28. Obviously, it's a par 34 on the front, kind of a weird situation at Royal Birkdale, 34, 36. But you go out in 28, 6 under par to turn, make a couple birdies, but then you par both the par 5s, holes 14 and 17, and you make a bogey on 18 with I believe it ended up being, they had it as a 5-foot putt, 5-foot 3-inch putt. That was for the 61. Ends up missing it. And he had some interesting stuff to say after the round. He was basically like, yeah, I knew exactly what I was putting for, exactly what I was playing for the entire back 9. Like, I'm a records geek. I was dialed in on all that stuff. I knew exactly what was going on, which is a funny contrast to when Brandon Grace actually shot the first 62 ever at a major here in 2017. And the reports, and he afterwards was like, dude, I had no idea that was a record. I truly had no concept. And it's like, maybe that helps a little bit to not know.
Hey, Ron, you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she had no idea that putt was for 59. But not to be outdone, just 2 groups. I think it was 22 minutes later, Sam Burns, who, this is another conversation we're going to have. I don't know how dialed in you were at this point in time, if you were in class at this point, but Sam Burns, 2 groups later, shoots another 62 by holing out from the bunker on 18 to cap 3 straight birdies and become then the 7th player, or I believe the 6th player, the 7th round of 62 in Major Championship history, because Xander Schauffele's done it twice. And I saw, I think, 3 shots. I think I saw the 3 shots I saw of this round, and I was watching, were the 3 shots on 18. I only figured out that he was far under par because I was writing about Lucas Herbert's 62 and was checking to see how much he was beating everybody else by, and it saw Sam Burns going to 17, a par 5 at 6 under par. And I was like, oh, I didn't know. I mean, truly this is a broadcast thing, truly for the back 9 of Lucas Herbert's round, basically from when I turned it on until Lucas Herbert finished, and even 10 minutes afterwards when they're trailing him, talking to him, interviewing him, they just did not show Sam Burns. It felt like it was pretty much a Lucas Herbert and Bud Cauley, who actually also had a great round. A Lucas Herbert and Bud Cauley feature group. I mean, they showed that interspersed with Colin Morikawa, who was making some good shots. But I mean, I'm sure somebody on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, is putting out sometimes they put out the how many shots were shown, right? And then the scores. I'm pretty sure there was not more than 5 shots of Sam Burns' 62 shown on the broadcast on live television. It was the forgotten 62. It was, and it was.
That's just unfortunate because, like, I'm really glad he's doing something because it gives us an excuse to talk about. Because I don't think we even mentioned this on the preview pod. He's not supposed to be here.
Yeah, like, he's brand new father.
That was the storyline heading into the. There was the storyline or leaving the U.S. Open was that he was not going to get a chance to. Obviously he came like heartbreakingly close. He was not going to get a chance to build on that at the Open Championship because he wouldn't be making the trip because that was right when his wife was due for their child. And apparently they delivered early and he was able to, he said if it was any other tournament, he wouldn't be going, but he did end up making the trip to Royal Birkdale and he's firmly in contention. And this is a storyline that I'm absolutely rooting for.
Yeah, I mean, he's 3 shots back again. So we've got Lucas Herbert at 8 under par, Jackson Suber, who was the star of Thursday's round with his 5 under par, in T2, along with Cam Young, who's had back-to-back 67s, and Ryan Gerard, who had as well back-to-back 67s. Like Lucas Herbert's, I got to pull it up. His major championship record is a sight to behold in not a particularly positive way. He's got 2 top 20s in his career, one at the 2022 Open, one at the 2022 PGA. So far this year, he has played 1 major and missed the cut at the U.S. Open. Last year, he missed the cut at the Open. T43, like there's not much good stuff going here, and he's not. I mean, he won Live Golf Virginia in May. Do with that what you will. He's not. I don't expect. Basically, what I'm trying to say is I don't expect him to run away with this, especially considering you've got a guy like Cam Young, 2 shots back, Sam Burns 3 shots back, Bryson now 3 shots back, Siwoo Kim 3 shots back. There's a lot of really interesting names to follow here. I did see someone tweet this, and I do think it's very true. It would be potentially all-time funny stuff if Cam Young wins the Open when everybody's off of him after he was like a hot pick for the first 3 majors. Just goes over to Europe after a couple top 40s, or actually missing being outside the top 40 a few times in a row. Just lights the world on fire and wins an Open. That would be pretty sick, pretty standard.
That'd be golf. Hilarious.
That would be golf. Encapsulated would be to just turn around and do that.
Because I was talking to Kyle yesterday, and I was there on Wednesday before in our class, and I said that Scotty is currently the leader of the. First off, I think anybody who wins the FedEx Cup is going to be the player of the year, just because that gap is just so small. But right now, it's advantage Scotty for player of the year, and Matt Fitzpatrick, Chris Gotterup, or Cam Young would clinch player of the year with a win this week. Obviously, Matt Fitzpatrick will not be doing so, but. Yeah, you were on it with that one, Will. That was too good to be true.
The witch, yeah, exactly. It's whenever you get that guy, it's the exact opposite of what we just talked about with Cam Young. It's whenever you get that guy that everybody thinks is going to win, like Matt Fitzpatrick was this week. It was, what was he, 5 over in the end? I think something like that.
Yeah, keep scrolling.
He's right here. We got 72 today.
Just pull up his stats from round 2, like strokes gained.
Let's see, strokes gained. I believe this is for the championship. Let's do round 2. It's not great. Gained a couple shots putting. For the entire championship, it's worse.
Oh, then maybe things got better throughout the day, because what I saw at the beginning of the day was really bad.
I mean, still not great, Nick.
No, this is. I mean, there's more green. There's more green than I saw earlier in the day.
Look, he missed the cut after being not the favorite. I think he was 3rd or 4th, but probably the most bet, the most picked player of the week. Yeah, it's really disappointing. And the witch doctor obviously chose Alex because I think Alex is sitting somewhere. I think he's at three, maybe sitting pretty three under par, I believe. I'll go up and check that. I mean, it is just really disappointing stuff for Matt Fitzpatrick and a kind of culmination of a weird major championship year for him that we talked about a bit, where he's obviously had a great year. He's got the 3 wins. He's got 3 top 5s in his last 4 starts. But the one non-top 5 was a 22nd at the U.S. Open. At the PGA Championship, he was T14. At the Masters, he was T18. For most normal people, that's pretty good. But for the number 3 player in the world to not be inside the top 14, I guess, inside the top 13 at a single major, especially with the expectations that have been riding on him, is disappointing to say not to say the least. It's disappointing, but then I think the missed cut here is like really the exclamation point on that. On a course like Royal Birkdale, he's an Englishman. He is good at links golf. He's played well in opens before. Even last year T4, last year Genesis T4, 2026 Genesis T3. Like, this is his style of golf, and he lined up beautifully for this and just threw up a stinker. I don't know. There's no real better way to put it. Just didn't play good golf.
Yeah, if you told me that he would not win, but like would be in contention, like, yeah, I'd probably believe. You told me top 20, like, sure, maybe, but I would never have guessed a miscut. That's bonkers to me.
Yeah. Meanwhile, his brother Alex, what did I say he was at? He actually is 4 under and T8. Again, 2 back of Cam Young, 4 back of Lucas Herbert. I don't know, man. Alex Fitzpatrick's really good at golf, I think, is what I'm discovering. It was kind of one of those things, where he wins the Valspar alongside Matt Fitzpatrick, throws together a few good results, and you're kind of like, the good play's not out of nowhere. He won on the DP World Tour this year. Like, he's a great player. He's played well at the Open. I think he's now 4 for 4 in majors in terms of making the cut. But yeah, I mean, I did not expect this play to just continue for him. Like, he's just, like, full stop, just one of the better golfers in the world, which is not. I think if you told me that at the beginning of this year, that I'd be sitting here at the Open Championship calling Alex Fitzpatrick probably a top 20, 25 golfer in the world, like, probably fairly comfortably top 25 golfer in the world, I'd say it's crazy. But that's where we're looking right now. And, you can clip this after he blows up over the weekend if you want. But yeah, where do we want to go? I mean, we got Scotty. Scotty is still the favorite, in terms of betting. He's at around plus 600. Cam Young is about plus 650, with Lucas Herbert taking up the 3rd spot. Before the 2-shot penalty, it was Bryson at the top, by the way. But now it is Scotty at T8, 4 shots back of Lucas Herbert, 2 shots back at Cam Young.
I mean, this is an interesting point because, outside of, Bryson removed, I feel like this is, and like, hear me out here, I feel like this has been a very boring tournament from like the stars. And like, obviously the 62s are amazing, but like, Scotty's like further down the leaderboard. Rory is, kind of out of it already.
Look at this scorecard. You got 2 birdies, no bogeys, and none of it was. I mean, forgive me if I'm wrong. I don't remember any of his play today being like, oh my God, what a shot. Like, I don't think I was ever like, oh, Scotty, the way that we're kind of accustomed to being. It was just a steady 68 today. It was a slightly less steady 68 yesterday, but still, I mean, he got off to a really hot start. But
I'm sure he's gonna like chip in somewhere, or like put a eagle putt to like 2 feet tomorrow, like, and have us be like shaking in our boots that he's coming back. And like, I'm sure there's gonna be a charge, but it's been kind of underwhelming from both Scotty and Rory this week, I will say.
Yeah, I feel like I've lost track. This day has been so long and so bizarre that I've completely lost track of Rory. I honestly don't even really know where he's sitting.
I want to say he's like 1 under, maybe.
Yeah, he's 1 under T38, which again shows you how crowded this leaderboard is.
Yeah.
After a 67 today, yesterday was really disappointing. He couldn't make a putt. But yeah, let's start at the top and let's just see who we haven't talked about, because I do want to, we should give Lucas Herbert his flowers. 8 under par on the day. Again,
absolutely
ridiculous scorecard.
Jackson Suber was good yesterday. Like, this is his Open Championship debut. He's had a pretty good stretch of finishes over the last like 2 months.
It's his first time in Europe, which is nuts. I don't know how that. Yeah, that's what
continent,
he
or
said. It was his first time being in Europe, not playing golf in Europe, just being in Europe. Uh,
that's funny.
Again, Cam Young in a good spot. Ryan Gerard doing had some really really cool shots today. Actually, hit a cold hard. I'm going to say the word, so plug your ears if you're sensitive to it. Cold hard shank.
I
Just and
tweeted a
still made
shank.
par.
Yeah, that was brutal.
That's one of those. It's the like, oh, golfer does things like pro golfer does thing that's so similar to average golfer like me, and then immediately doesn't because he got up and down and made par from where he shanked it to.
If I hit that shot during a round, I'm not pulling that club out for the rest of the day.
Was it on 16, 15? No, it wasn't 16.
It made a par. I think it was. Yeah,
I'm not sure. It was somewhere in here. Somewhere on the back nine, he had a very unimpressive shank, but got up and down for par. So he, is sitting really really quiet. I think today was such a dramatic day with Lucas Herbert, Sam Burns. Then you have Bryson and the afternoon crowd growing low. A lot of the guys kind of got lost in the shuffle. Like I mean, Cam Young got some good airtime, but not a ton. Ryan Gerard got some airtime on the back there. Jackson Suber, he had the early time today. So by the time we were up and at him, he was pretty much in the house at 1 under par at 6 under for the tournament. I don't think I saw much of Siwoo. Again, Bud Cauley was playing with Lucas Herbert. He played pretty well. We saw a lot of his shots.
Bobby Mack is
crowded. Bobby Mack, Tommy Fleetwood, we got to give a shout out at 4 under. This group at 4 under is probably where your eyes go, right? Like at T8, John Rahm, Tommy Fleetwood, Scotty Scheffler, Alex Fitzpatrick.
Hey, don't be skipping Francesco Molinari on that leaderboard.
I'm skipping Francesco Molinari. By the way, I swear to God, I thought he was like, I know he's not, because I have this thought every time I see him, and then I have to like pinch myself and be like, no, he's like 43 or something. But for some reason, I just associate him with like the Phil Mickelson, Tiger Woods era. So I think of him as like 50, even though I know he's not, and I know he won. When did he win the Open? Like 2018.
2018, yeah.
I mean, it's good to see him playing well. He had some highlights. He chipped in for par at one point.
Which we thought it was a birdie, but then it ended up being a par. But yeah, it's nice to see because like he won the Open Championship in 2018. We got up into I think the top 10 of the world at that point, and that's what he was known for was his Open Championship win, and he was known for that until about a year later when he put it into the pond on 12 at Augusta. And that's kind of what his career became known for. And he hasn't really been able to do much of anything since. And so it's nice to see him.
I lost you for a second there, Nick. I'm not. Hopefully it's just on my end, and the people are still hearing you.
Molinari.
I mean,
he's
it's
kind of known for just.
Yeah, it is what I think of when I think of Francesco Molinari is him losing the ball into the water on 12 at Augusta. That's like the first thing that comes to mind. And that's probably why, frankly, I associate him with that Tiger Woods era is because that's, obviously the major championships Tiger Woods came back and won in 2019.
Yeah, so it's good. Like you said, it's good to see him.
You're saying, Nick.
Still?
Hopefully
you got me. But are words? Am I frozen or?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Was there anybody else? I don't know. I feel bad. I can't hear you at all. But
like nothing at all.
Is there anybody? Maybe you could message me, or leave and come back or something. But
it's coming through on my.
I don't know.
I'm gonna try that. Give me a second.
We covered just about everybody, and we're at that 30-minute mark. There's Shane Lowry. We got at a T17, by the way, unexpected. I mean, maybe expected, unexpected T17 right now out of Shane Lowry. He was playing awful, like truly, truly bad golf coming into this week. But then again, it is a links course, and we know what Shane Lowry can do on links courses. He's back.
Can you hear me now?
Man, it might be me, Nick. I'm hoping that people are picking you up, and I'm just not. Maybe I'll get some. I'll leave in a second, but I might just cede this to you anyway because I have to bounce out of here. I'm actually flying. I'm going to be in France for my second major of the year. I feel like it's kind of ridiculous. I was just telling the people that Shane Lowry, an impressive, unexpected for me, but also it's links and it's Shane Lowry. So, Ludwig in the same spot, T17, Dan Brown down there. They showed a lot of Dan Brown today. He played some good golf. I feel like Sepp Straka and Corey Connors go together. P. Reed, Chris Gotterup, my personal pick. stayed alive. I think I've got 3 people because Russell Henley made it on the number.
I definitely don't have
Nick,
3.
I can't hear you, and I'm gonna have to bow out anyway. But you're welcome to keep going if people can hear you, maybe. But I'm gonna have to head out of here. Rory's gonna be my final words here. Good 67 to get himself back into the mix. I think I'm gonna leave you with what I think is too far back as we head to the weekend, because it's a crowded one. I honestly think there's nobody at even that I think will actually. Oh, Xander's at even. No, I'm gonna go with 1 under. I'm gonna go with the group at 1 under, which is where we have Rory. I think Rory's still in this, certainly. I just don't see even. I don't see anybody on the even number, because also I barely forgot that Xander was even here. Didn't really know he made the cut. Another star, like you were saying, that was relatively unimpressive over the last 2 days. Unexciting at the very least. But with that, Nick, I'm going to remove myself from the scenes here and let you take over. I'll put it back on here so that we don't lose my my screen. Thank you all for joining. Hopefully Nick can guide you into a safe night, a good weekend at the Open Championship.
Yes. Okay. Well, I have no idea what happened there. I don't even know if you guys can hear me right now. I'm hoping you can. Safe travels to Will to France. I don't really have much to add afterwards. I think this is, as Will said, this is a very bunched together leaderboard. I think there's a lot of people that could absolutely make a run if, the conditions are right. And we didn't really even talk about the conditions too much. We didn't necessarily we didn't talk about how the course is playing. I think it's very interesting in the sense that the rough hasn't really played as much of a role as we thought it would. I know that it's been very, we talked about in the beginning of the week just how dry it was and how we have not, we didn't really expect it to be this dry and this brown. Um, Speaking of Dan Brown had to watch his cigarettes consumption throughout the round. He had to basically stomp out his cigarettes, make sure that they were 100% out because he was at risk of starting a brush fire, which I think would be absolutely hilarious. Um, I think I think the rough hasn't been as penalizing as we thought it would be. I think it's, you know, there are certain spots where I think if you hit into the rough, it's very lie dependent. I think if you're going to get a good bounce, then maybe that'll help you. But if not, then you're going to find yourself in bad positions like Bryson off the tee. Um, One interesting tidbit on Rory was that he was 7 shots off the lead after the first round, and according to Justin Ray, 26 of the last Open Championship winners were within 5 shots of the lead after round 1, and Rory was 7 shots back. So history is not on his side, but his personal history is on his side because that's the exact deficit he came back from at the Masters in 2025 when he won the Grand Slam. So there's potential there. I think it's very interesting. I'm very interested to see what Bryson is going to do tomorrow. I think as Will said, like you have to show up. Like you can't not. Like that would just be a very, I don't want to say pathetic, but there would be a very poor character choice for Bryson to not show up. I think that would just be it would be effectively a tantrum, like Will said. And so I'm hoping we see him because he's not out of this tournament by any means. He absolutely is not, and he should be given the chance to come back. And so that's kind of all the main storylines from this tournament. I think we have a very, very big weekend ahead of us. I think a lot can happen. So we'll be we'll be coming back to you on Monday to recap everything. But for now, our socials are just scrolling. We have our X at Center Cup Pod, Instagram centercup.pod, same as our TikTok, which Instagram and TikTok we are back on. We are adding more content. We are giving you reels, giving you clips from our streams. We're giving you more content. And as always, our email, centercup.pod@yahoo.com. We're taking emails. So should be a very fun weekend at Royal Birkdale. And we'll see you on Monday to recap it all. Have a good one, guys.
That was the wrong button. I'm gonna end the stream, not leave the studio. My bad.